QuickBooks appears to be $30 a month. Is this your first business deduction? Yes. Yeah, exactly. FreshBooks, I think, is less expensive than that. I don't recall though, but yeah, that's absolutely a business expense. Your business expenses are the things that you need to spend to reasonably run your business. Accounting software is one. I pay for a calendar scheduling app that helps me, that makes it really easy to to find time on my calendar. That costs me $10 a month. That's a business expense. There's a bunch of things I've been able to write off. For me, getting a website up and running was something that I needed to do to help with my business. That's a business expense. For me, since I'm working from home, I'm location independent, I bought a work laptop, and that's a business expense. So there are all sorts of things that I can do. That would help you. Saudi has no taxes, but gotcha. Oh, that makes sense. That with no taxes, you'd also have lower salaries to account for it. I have to admit, Stealthy Healer, I know basically nothing about the Saudi system. I apologize. I'm sure they do things in their own unique way, but I don't know really anything about their system. 99% of my tax knowledge is based in the U.S. and the business practices are pretty universal, but the tax knowledge is almost all U.S. What if you pay an accountant? Would that be an expense? Absolutely. Paying an accountant is a business expense, and if you have a good accountant, they will take out their fees. Again, that is an ordinary and necessary expense for running the business. Things that are common in other businesses, not so much maybe necessarily streaming, but like in other businesses, you can deduct advertising expenses. You can deduct salaries that you pay people. You can deduct, if you have a cell phone specifically for business that you only use for business, you can deduct purchasing the phone as well as the service. Like anything that you spend to help your business run is a business expense. There are categorization rules that can put some limits in place, but that's a good broad principle to have. And then you can work with an accountant to figure out like all the exact nuts and bolts of it. I am not an accountant, and I have no plans to ever be an accountant because to me that's super like. But there are people who do it, people who love it, people who are good at it, and can help you. This question might be too particularized. What about subbing or tipping to other casters for networking purposes? Yeah. So you are right on both points, Resorty. Streaming, like I was saying earlier, streaming is not a profession that the IRS has dealt with specifically, right? It's new enough, and it's new enough to have money, and the IRS is going through enough issues right now that they haven't dealt with those kinds of issues specifically. I would argue that you could make a very reasonable case that subbing to other streamers is a business expense or a marketing expense, exactly like you said. Do you want to spend thousands of dollars doing that? No. Is it something that you could and should do, especially for the ones that are actually networky? I'd say yeah. I'd actually say that's not too crazy. Bohan, so your bills can be filed as an expense, and then 16-bit Panda also. I would not recommend sub for sub as a business expense. It still costs you more than you save. Right? So business expenses are good because they reduce the income that you earn, or the reduced income that you pay taxes on. But if you don't want to just go out spending willy-nilly just because you get a tax deduction, right? Can you say your rent is a business expense and electricity, etc.? So there are a whole bunch of rules around home office deductions. That's something that the IRS actually has dealt with. Let me see if I can find their specific page on it. There are very specific rules around that topic. This is for 16-bit Panda asking. NerdWallet does a good job. There's the thing for it. it's a little, those ones tend to be proportion based. If you meet the criteria to do it, which are fairly tight, there are proportion based things that you can do. So like if taxes are complicated. If your home office takes up 10% of the square footage of the place that you're renting, and you meet all the requirements, theoretically you can deduct 10% of your rent as a business expense, right? So it's, as with anything that has been put in place with taxes, there have been people who tried to abuse it. And because there are people who try to abuse it, the IRS has therefore put rules and tests in place to make sure that people can't abuse it. So you got to make sure that you're following those rules. And it can help to talk with someone about it. Your subs are just marketing and don't actually love you. That's all that it is, T-shirt. It's just people wanting to get their marketing expenses. But yeah, so it's as someone who's an affiliate, I would say odds are you aren't. Yeah, Resorty's got it right there. Odds are you aren't earning, tens of thousands of dollars. Maybe you are, but I would say odds are that you aren't earning tens of thousands of dollars. So, with that being said, you want to make sure that you're taking like the expenses that you do already spend to upgrade and things like that, like a green screen, right? A green screen, you can definitely trust Stealthy. A green screen is absolutely a business expense, right? Would you use a green screen in your day-to-day life? Maybe. I don't know what you do in your spare time. I don't judge. I don't use a green screen in my day-to-day life outside of business. So you want to, as someone probably not earning a ton from your business, you want to make sure that you are appropriately documenting what you spend and that you have a good plan for spending to improve your business, but not also just being like, I can spend whatever I want, because it still has consequences, right?